We're back. We're back like on a Monday. Something called the Artie Lange Show. Brent Stover, myself, the rest of the gang, talking to Richard Roeper, Chicago icon, Chicago legend, about the movies that have been nominated, and a little bit of the Golden Globes telecast last night. Hey, what'd you think of the Jodie Foster situation last night?
You know, I like Jodie Foster a lot. I always have. I think she's very cool. She's done, you look at her, the stuff she's done, 47 years. She was the original Coppertone model, the famous ad of the little girl.
No kidding. I didn't know.
That was Jodie Foster.
Wow.
She goes that far back in show business.
Yeah.
And, the thing I always point out is that, Jodie Foster played a child prostitute in Taxi Driver when she was 11, and she turned out great. And Lindsay Lohan played a fresh-faced, innocent girl when she was a kid. She turned out to be a hot mess. It may not be about the roles you play.
That's what it tells you. Well, what do you think about what she did last night? I mean, I think, listen, it's easy to do now when you got $2 billion in the bank and a movie career, a few Oscars. I mean, 30 years ago, she could have helped the gay community. Richard, your thoughts?
Well, that's the thing. And, again, with all the respect that she deserves, for years, the gay and lesbian community has been saying it would be a great help if Jodie Foster would come out. Every once in a while, Out magazine would put her on the cover and say something like, when's Jodie going to come? It was pretty obvious. I mean, the 1991 Oscars she won for Silence of the Lambs, she wore a pantsuit and took a woman as her date. It was, so, I mean... But she would never talk about it, and she like she tried to say last night. I thought it was very poorly executed speech. I don't know if she wrote it or who else. She's still friends with Mel Gibson, and I kept thinking, did he write this for her? He's still you saw the crazy look in his face.
Well, don't you think that our producer Dan Filato should take a hint here and come out and do something for the gay community?
Well, does that set them back 15 years?
Well, that's the question.
Right.
That's a good question. Now, listen, guys, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not putting up with this. No more of these accusations. As you know, I'm a big fan and a friend of the gay community.
But I mean, if to me, to dance around it and then not come out almost trivialized it for someone who kept saying, I'm not going to do it. So, and it was a lot of inside stuff because, I think, a lot of people in middle America just really didn't think one way. They didn't really think about it. I mean, most people in show business, I mean, the big joke years ago, remember John Hinckley was obsessed with Jodie Foster.
That's right.
The Taxi Driver character, which is, why he shot Reagan. And it was like, you're barking up the wrong tree, dude. From the start, it was like, wow, that was more proof than ever that the guy was nuts. He thought he could win over Jodie Foster.
He might as well shot somebody to impress George Hamilton. It would have been the same thing.
But, let's face it. They've got this, there's this movie coming out where Michael Douglas is going to play Liberace.
I know.
And, to this day, there's a lot of grandmas out there saying he just never found the right girl.
Well, let me tell you something.
But, I mean, I thought Jodie Foster, all she did was kind of confuse the issue. And you know what? You're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award for your work. Why not just graciously accept it? And if you want to, come out and say you're lesbian, do it in another venue. So I know it was a rare misstep career-wise by Jodie Foster because now everybody's talking about it. But half of it is just like, what the hell was that about?
Well, you know what? You brought up her speech, which was horrendous and offensive. And to highlight just how offensive it was, our own Mike Bichetti is going to read the speech. Mike, could you read Jodie Foster's acceptance speech and please try to do it with some class and dignity?
I will, as much as I can, Artie. Thank you. Well, for all you SNL fans, I'm 50. I'm 50. I didn't need to do that with this dress on, but, maybe later at Trader Vic's, boys and girls. What do you say? I'm 50. I was going to bring my walker tonight, but just didn't go with the cleavage.
Nice.
Robert Downey Jr., I want to thank you for everything, from your bat craze, riot fat brain, sweet intro. I'm done with acting. I'm done with acting. I'm really done. I'm done. Trust me, 47 years in the film business is a long time. You just asked those Golden Globes because you're a crazy kid. You've been around forever.
Mike, very articulate. Go ahead.
Thank you, Artie. I share my most special memories with members of the crew. Blood-shaking friendships, brothers and sisters. We made movies together, and you can never get more intimate than that.
I guess you can, but go ahead.
So while I'm here being all confessional, I guess I have a sudden urge to say something that I've never really been able to air in public.
Okay.
So a declaration that I'm a little nervous about, maybe not quite as nervous about my publicist right now. Huh, Jennifer?
Yeah, both of these are billionaires. Don't worry about it.
But I'm going to just put it right there, right? Loud and proud, right? So I'm going to need your support on this.
As you turn the page, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm single. Yes, I'm single. No kidding. But I'm not really kidding. Being a big coming out speech tonight, because I already did my coming out about 1,000 years ago back in the Stone Age. In those very quaint days when a fragile young girl would open up to trusted friends and family and coworkers, and then gradually, proudly to everyone who knew her. She actually met everyone who knew her. I'm sorry, I'm going over.
That's fine. You're doing great.
But now I'm
Wait,
told...
real quick. Richard, could there be a worse moment for the gay and lesbian community than right now?
All of a sudden, this sounds like an outtake of Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. we had it made. We were Goodfellas. That's what we say about everything.
Don't paint no more religious.
What the hell?
Don't paint no more religious pictures to me about.
Thank you, Richard. I love Liotta.
Yeah, try to cry a little bit, Mike. Try to cry a little bit.
Cry? I haven't cried in a while.
We'll try. We'll take a look at that shirt in the mirror.
Okay. All right, now, hold on. Okay, in those very quaint days when a fragile young girl would open and trusted friends and family and coworkers, and then everyone knew her that she actually met, but now I'm told apparently that every celebrity is expected to honor the details of their private life with a press conference, a fragrance, and primetime reality show. But seriously, if you've ever been a public figure from the time you were a toddler, if you had to fight for life, it felt real and honest and normal against all odds. Maybe,
Cry, you jerk off.
I don't feel like crying right, but I will. Then maybe you're right.
It's called acting.
Okay. My family and friends were here tonight, and of course, Mel Gibson. Now, you had to save me, Mel. There's no way I could ever stand here without acknowledging one of these deepest loves in my life, my heroic co-parent, my ex-partner in love, but righteous soul sister in life, my confessor, my ski buddy, consigliere, most beloved BFF of 20 years, Sidney Bernard. Thank you, Sid. I'm so proud of our modern family.
Cry, you bitch.
Loser Rooney. Our amazing sons, Charlie and Kid, are the only reason to breed and evolve my blood and soul. And boys, in case you don't know, it's my song, and all these songs for you, and brings me to the greatest influence in my life, my amazing mother, Evelyn.
My amazing mother.
Evelyn,
all of a sudden, hey Richard, all of a sudden he became James Cagney in Angels with Dirty Faces.
They're never going to make Jimmy a maid man. He's Irish on his mother's side.
My amazing mother.
On his mother's side.
Cry a little bit more for Richard. Come on.
Okay, I knew you were inside those blue eyes somewhat, and there were so many things that you wouldn't understand tonight. This is the only important one to take in. I love you. I love you, and I love you. I hope that if you say this 3 more times, it will magically and perfectly enter into your soul, fill you with grace and joy of knowing that you did good in this life. You're a great mom. Well, I never may be up on the stage again.
That was a good moment.
It was.
Thank you.
What did a rat just crawl up here? Oh. Oh!
Well, I may never be on the stage again, stage for any matter. Change, you gotta love it. I will continue to tell stories to move people, but just being moved, the greatest job in the world. It's just that now I may be holding a different talking stick, and maybe it won't be sparkly. It'll be open to 3,000 screens. Maybe it won't be so quiet and delicate that only dogs can hear it whistle. But
What the hell is she talking about?
I'll be writing my wall. Jodie Foster was here, and I still am, and I want to be seen to understand deeply and not so very lonely to thank you for all your company. Here's to the next 50 years.
Oh. I'll tell you what, you know what's weird about that? Jamie Foxx had the same exact speech for the Django Unchained if he had won.
Hey, Ma, do you mind? Can we borrow this knife? We got a deer caught in the grill. His wolf. Can we just borrow this knife for a second?
Hey, Ma, I'm going to have a different walking stick. It might not be sparkly. My mother.
That was good. Actually, I enjoyed that more than Jodie doing it.
I mean, I think Mike should read every speech. Yeah, so...
the Anne Hathaway speech where she talks about how she's going to use the Golden Globe as a battle against her insecurity.
Yeah, right. Just how annoying. I mean, you know, do these people in Hollywood see how other people have made mistakes and said corny stuff like that and not learn from it? I mean, you know, it's just terrible.
Well, and you just know so much of it is phony. Anne Hathaway knows she's going to win the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. She's been out there winning all the awards, and she did the full Paltrow, the breathless, this is really happening.
I know.
I can't believe it. It's like, well, you had a 1 in 5 shot, so going in, you're a nominee. So it's not you didn't win the lottery. You had a pretty good of an inkling that you might win.
Right.
Besides Foster and Hathaway, who in your mind, who else kind of came away as sort of unlikable to the public last night?
Well, you know who always comes across as unlikable is Tommy Lee Jones.
It was unbelievable.
But he doesn't care, though.
Well, I love Tommy Lee Jones, but it's like, when you get to be like 70 and you're still doing that, like, I don't want to be an actor, I'm too cool. Well, then, you know what? Don't go to the Golden Globe. Don't go. He does this all the time on the interview circuit too, where he'll like kind of embarrass this, these poor entertainment, hacks who got to do all these
right
out there,
right,
to barely scrape out a living.
That's a tough gig.
The Topeka Journal, they get 5 minutes with Tommy Lee Jones, and he makes fun of him, or he gives him a one-word answer, and it's like, okay, we get it. You're cool.
Yeah.
You're the toughest guy in the room. You went to Yale. You're an actor. You're really not the toughest guy.
You're right. You're right. You probably two of the key grips could probably beat the crap out of him.
Yeah. And it's just, to me, that's as much of an affectation as Anne Hathaway. You know, I mean, that whole thing where it's like every time the camera pans to him, he looks like he'd rather be somewhere else. Guess what? You get to be somewhere else. You've made all the money. You got the Oscar. You got the career. Quit. If you hate it so much, freaking quit. Or stop bitching about it.
Well, that's why...
after 40 years, it's a little old.
That's why you got to hand it to guys like the Rolling Stones in the 70s, 80s. Those guys were rock stars. They didn't go to the Grammys. Like, a lot of young kids who think, like, so many of these young musicians are hip and cool now because they go to every award show. The direct opposite is true. Being a rock star meant you didn't go to those shows. They were embarrassing.
You know who's a badass? Maggie Smith. She lives for Downton Abbey. She's not within 3,000 friggin' miles of the Golden Globe.
Right.
She's out there doing something probably on some stage in London.
Right.
Give a crap.
It took 9/11 to get Woody Allen to go to an Oscar ceremony.
Right. And say what you want about him, but he wasn't just pretending he was too cool for the room when for the 15th time he didn't go.
Right. Do you think there's legitimately all these great actors from the 70s, the Nicholsons, the De Niros, the Pacinos, the auteurs, if you will, like Woody Allen and some of these other guys? Do you think there's legitimate... They're all getting old now. Like you said, everyone's hitting 70. They look old. And even guys like Steve Martin look old now. Yeah. Is there a generation from those cool guys who became famous in the 70s worthy of taking over for them? Because I don't think there is. Tom Cruise with Scientology is not pulling it off. Yeah. Daniel Craig. I don't know. There's no Steve McQueens anymore. Don't you agree with that?
No, and you know what? And I do agree, but part of it is just the way the media has changed, too, where it's so much harder for... Even an actor like, okay, look at a guy like Ryan Gosling, who's like really talented and has done a lot of good work and seems to be, serious about doing good work. But every time he has a salad with some hot actress, it's going to be on TMZ. Every time he comes out of the airport, it's going to be on TMZ. And they all have to do like the talk show thing. And hey, look, you know what? I love Jimmy Kimmel and Letterman and all them, but, the real stars, the Nicholsons, the Pacinos, the De Niros, they almost never did that. They would do an occasional Johnny Carson bit,
right?
To promote a movie. So they had that aura of mystery about them. So then when you saw them on the big screen, they seem larger than life. Actors don't seem larger than life when you see them schlepping through the airport, when you see them getting into fights with their girlfriends, when you see every inch of their life on Twitter. It just takes away the whole aura.
No, you're right about that. And when they did actually do something on Carson or whatever, it made that a million times more special. Like, wow, that really is, Jack Nicholson doing something.
I mean, you didn't see Jimmy Caan on the Hollywood Squares.
You would now. I think he needs the scratch, quite frankly.
Bada bing, I'll do it.
Well, Brent, you got anything else? Any predictions, or Brent, what are you thinking?
Well, I was just, in terms of likable people, a guy like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, like they come across to me that's important, some sort of a connection. Like they come across as like normal, fairly normal, if you can be in Hollywood, likable people. Do you get that from them? Do you get that from anybody else out there?
You know what? I do get that. I get that from Affleck. And he was in Chicago here maybe about 4 months ago, promoting Argo when it was still, it was getting some buzz, but it hadn't come out yet. And they did like one of those, sneak preview things, and he and I did a Q&A afterward. And, he showed up to watch the last 20 minutes or so of the movie. Just kind of sneaked into the back of the theater. It was him and a very small group, that came in. It wasn't like, he was acting like he was P. Diddy. And we sat there for an hour in front of a small group of about 150 movie fans, and he took questions, and afterwards if people wanted to get a picture or him to sign something, couldn't have been more gracious about it.
Right.
And you could tell, I think, in an hour and a half or 2 hours like that, if a guy's just going through the motions because he's got to do it, or if he loves what he's doing and he wants to engage people. And I think Clooney's got that. I mean, Clooney does it so easily that sometimes it seems a little too slick. But I think he's really that guy. There's
some guys you don't want to meet as a comedian because you'd rather go on hating them and making fun of them. You get disappointed when someone's a really nice guy. It happened to me a couple of times. The Stern Show was such a big thing that I got to meet big-time celebrities just because I was on Howard. And one of the kids I met, this kid, Ryan Phillippe, a guy like me should hate that guy and make fun of him. He's a really good actor, blessed with really good looks, gets all the hot chicks. I met him. He was about like the nicest guy on the planet, fun to hang out with, a cool guy, smart, funny. And I remember saying it to him, going, why do I have to like you? I can't meet guys and like them. I'd rather be that bitter, old, fat comic in the corner who makes fun of this.
Yeah, well, and a guy like that, the fact that he would even go on with Howard and that he would actually listen to the show and didn't just say he did.
Big fan, absolutely.
From the start, like, okay, there's maybe a little bit more to this guy, and he's not going to take himself too seriously.
Right.
And of course, it goes the other way sometimes, where there's people you think are going to be just so cool because their work is so cool, and you meet them and you think like, maybe it would have been better off if I'd never met that person.
Or sometimes you hit the comedian grand slam where their work is horrible and they're the biggest jerk off, and I call that my Brian Austin Green moment. Richard, thanks so much for coming. Prediction: what's going to win Best Actor? Give me Best Picture. We got to go. So give me Best Picture.
Zero Dark 30 is going to win Best Picture. It's either that or Lincoln.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much for coming on, Richard. You're always the best, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, Artie. Talk to you soon, bro.
Take care, buddy, and we'll be back with more on the Artie Lange Show.